Geno Smith was the 39th overall pick of the 2013 draft and was drafted by the New York Jets. And in his rookie season with the Jets, he struggled, ending with a record of 8-8 and throwing 12 touchdowns to 21 interceptions. And sadly, in Geno's second season, it got worse, as he ended with a record of 3-10 and was sadly benched, throwing 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. And for all of the 2015 and 2016 season, Geno Smith transitioned into a backup quarterback for the New York Jets. Now, Geno Smith wasn't just benched because of his poor play. Geno Smith was benched because teammate IK Enemkpali punched and broke Geno Smith's jaw. Geno Smith couldn't play. Fitzpatrick went in and took over the starting job. Aside from this, Geno Smith received a ton of hate during his time in New York with the Jets. The media attacked him because the Jets weren't winning. His family received death threats. He was very unpopular. So Enemkpali's holding a training camp, buys Geno Smith a plane ticket. Geno Smith says he'll go, doesn't end up going, and Enemkpali wants his money back. And to this day, maybe people have changed their minds now, but I was watching a video regarding the situation and the comments were 2-3 years old and everyone was like, good thing he punched Geno Smith. He had it coming. I would have punched him a day later. I wouldn't have waited a month to try to get my money back. Like, people were justifying him punching and breaking Geno Smith's jaw, which I thought was unbelievable. And of course, this went well with the narrative that Geno Smith sucks, and it was just easy for the media to hop on and hate on Geno again, when in reality, Geno Smith wasn't really terrible. The 2014 and 2013 Jets were bad. Geno Smith didn't really have a good supporting cast whatsoever. So when Geno breaks his jaw before the 2015 season, he can't play. Fitzpatrick is named the starter, goes 10-6, and he gets all the praise, and everyone thinks that Geno was the problem, when in reality, that's not true. The 2015 Jets were better than 2014 and 2013 with Geno for a number of reasons. Number one, they had a new head coach, Todd Bowles. Number two, a way stronger defense. The Jets had one of the best defenses in the league in 2015, probably the best secondary in the league, and nobody really talks about that when referencing Geno Smith. Additionally, the Jets' offensive line improved, giving more time for Ryan Fitzpatrick, giving more time for the Jets' run game. Chris Ivory had a breakout season, rushing for over 1,000 yards. Geno Smith didn't really have a run game in 2013 and 2014. And Brandon Marshall also had his breakout year with 109 receptions. And even though the Jets were losing more in 2014, Geno Smith statistically was improving. You see his completion rate was up 4%. He threw one more touchdown and his interception rate was down significantly. So who knows how good Geno Smith could have been in 2015 with the Jets. Maybe that would have been his breakout year. We'll never know though, because Enemkpali punched and broke Geno Smith's jaw over $600, and I find it ironic that they're arguing over $600 when they're making millions a year, which that's just beyond me. I will say that I think Geno Smith is kind of in the wrong. From what we know, he probably should have just paid him the $600 if he made a commitment and didn't go, but we really don't know the full story. There could have been more to it, and in the end, Enemkpali's the dumbass. He punched Geno Smith. You don't punch someone over $600. I mean, like, he embarrassed himself. Another thing that really bothers me with the Geno hate during his time with the New York Jets is in 2013, 2014, and 2016, the Jets had a bottom 10 defense. And in 2015, the Jets had a top 10 defense. And that was their best year. And of course, that just happened to be the year that Ryan Fitzpatrick took over. And in 2016, Fitzpatrick is still the starter. They're coming off a 10-win season, but the defense drops, and so does the number of games they win. Continuing with Geno Smith's career, in 2017, he stays in New York, but he's with the Giants, and he's sitting behind Eli Manning. In 2018, he visits Seattle, a few other clubs. He says he likes Seattle, but he ends up going to the Chargers to sit behind Phillip Rivers. His mindset is that Phillip Rivers is older than Russell Wilson, so I have a better chance at getting the starting role. After 1 year with the Chargers, he goes to Seattle and is a backup to Russell Wilson for 2019, 2020, 2021, and plays 3 games in 2021. We all know Russell Wilson was traded and Geno Smith is named the starter for 2022. So Geno Smith is benched before the 2015 season because his teammate broke his jaw, and he loses his starting position and never gets it back. And for 7 seasons, 7 years, Geno Smith is a backup quarterback, but stays hard at his craft, continues to work, learn, grow, all of the above, and is ready and prepared for the 2022 season. I have 2 clips I'm going to play from a podcast Geno Smith did. This one is him talking about Drew Lock. Drew Lock and Geno Smith had to battle out who's going to be the starter for the 2022 season. Geno says when he got the opportunity to compete with Drew, he says he loves Drew, but he just knew it was over. He'd been preparing for this moment for so long. He knew it was over and he was going to win the starting role as quarterback. It's just crazy to me how Geno goes, it was over. I knew I was going to win the starting role, and how he says he'd been preparing for that moment for years and years, 7 years to be exact, which blows my mind. That dedication, that work ethic to stay locked in, stay in the weight room for 7 years with the media still attacking you with so much adversity, and you stay locked in, you stay dialed in, motivated, determined, you get the opportunity and you win it. And here's the other clip. It's kind of the same thing, just Geno Smith talking about how he stayed locked in for 7 years, training in the gym, and what helped him through it. Geno goes on to say that he's not a man of many words, and he studied Socrates and Plato when he was growing up. And one of the things that he loves about Socrates, one of the original philosophers, is that he never wrote down his ideologies and philosophy. He only talked to his people, and through his people, that's how his word spread. Geno says that he doesn't want to express himself through words, he wants his actions to do the talking for him. Geno goes on to talk about that every morning he wakes up with the same mindset. He's ready to go and he wants his actions to do the talking for him because he feels like talking isn't the best way to display who you are, it's your actions. It's honestly really motivating how Geno Smith stayed motivated for that long, stayed locked in, stayed determined to reach his goal, and how everyone counted him out. I mean, you go back and watch people's 2022 NFL predictions, not only do they have the Seattle Seahawks losing 12 games like this year, but they have Drew Lock as quarterback. Nobody even thought that Geno Smith would be the starter. Everyone's like, yeah, Drew Lock would be the quarterback, okay. They win maybe 5 games. Nobody even thought that Geno Smith would be the starter. And then Geno Smith comes in and does this. 4,200 yards. 30 touchdowns to just 11 interceptions, goes 9-8, a winning record, which nobody thought the Seahawks would win more than 5 or 6 games, leads the Seahawks to the playoffs against the best defense in the NFL, and leads at halftime away in San Francisco. Unbelievable. Sure, the Seahawks lost in the playoffs. I feel like a lot of people kind of disregard Geno Smith's play in the playoffs. He threw for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception, and led at halftime against the best defense in the NFL. I don't really know how much more you expected from Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Sure, the second half wasn't amazing, but the first half was incredible, and I feel like that's enough against the best defense. And now Geno Smith just signed a monster contract and is collecting the bag, $75 million over 4 years, which it blows my mind. My brain isn't able to comprehend what Geno Smith has accomplished. Throughout his first 4 years with the Jets, he was making $5 million a year, so he made $20 million with the Jets, and then he made $9 million between then and now. So he made $29 million throughout 9 years in the NFL, and he waited 7 years on the bench to make $75 million over 4 years. That's life-changing money. I know if you gave anyone $1 million, it's life-changing money. But for someone who already has $1 million, 75 over 4 years, that's like another level of millionaire. He waited patiently. He worked hard. He was determined. He knew what he was capable of. He came in week 1 against the Broncos, against Russell Wilson, and won 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and everyone knows what he said. They all wrote me off. I didn't write back.
They wrote me off. I ain't write back, though.
The whole point of this video is I want everyone to realize what Geno Smith has accomplished and to maybe gain a new perspective on him. You know, before last year, I didn't really know much about Geno Smith. I kind of just counted him off as some random backup. But after last year and watching a lot of his interviews and see how he acts, I mean, he's really motivating. I think now he's probably one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I can't wait to watch him play. They have JSN now, a revamped running back. I mean, the Seahawks are going to be nasty next year, and Geno Smith is going to be leading the way. And everyone that hates on Geno Smith, they just don't know what they're talking about. Smith waited 7 years patiently working on his craft, and it's not easy to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. You know, the top 32 quarterbacks in the world are starting. Being behind those is still an accomplishment in itself, and to maintain that, I mean, a lot of people, they're backup quarterback and then they just don't really try that hard and they never really get back in it. Geno Smith waited. He knew he was going to get back in there, and he knew what he could accomplish. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And once again, as always, thanks for watching.